This was a Saturday morning Hustle Flashback episode.
Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday. I'm in the office. That means one thing: Saturday morning hustle. I'm actually sitting here today kind of waxing poetically about the fact that I've owned and or operated a business of some sort, at least one, sometimes two or three, for over 30 years, which kind of blows my mind. I never thought I would make it this far in the world, right? So I started my first business in high school. I was actually 15, couldn't drive yet, and it's a great story. It's very interesting because I didn't actually realize at the time I was starting a business, and I definitely didn't realize I was being entrepreneurial or what an entrepreneur was. I didn't know any of these things. I just simply was trying to be cool. So here's the story. I was in a band, or I was trying to be in a band, really, but I didn't practice enough, and I just wasn't that good of a musician. Ironically, I'm kind of a decent musician now, but 30 years later. But not the point of the story. I wanted to be in the band desperately, but I was not a good musician and was not practicing enough to become a good musician because I was doing lots of other things. Sports school, girls, of course, and just general tomfoolery. So I essentially got kicked out of the band I was sort of in because I wasn't good enough. And I wanted to be in the band, but someone else in the band said, well, can you run sound? Can you be the sound guy? I immediately said yes, even though I had barely knew what to do. I didn't really know, but I thought I could figure it out. So I said yes, I'll be the sound guy, because I could sort of be in the band. And I took all their equipment that the band had, it was kind of a collective of everyone's stuff, and I took it home with me, and I fiddled with it, played with it, and learned how to use it. I figured it out, came back, and started doing sound for that band. Doing shows, they were high school, it was a high school band, there were little shows here and there. But eventually got kind of decent at that. And other bands around town, bands that were actually playing in clubs and bars and playing real gigs, saw that I knew what I was doing, had a little bit of this equipment I could haul around in my pickup truck, and asked me if I would come do shows for them, and they would pay me. There it is. It instantly became a business. Again, I didn't realize it was a business. So I was going to shows. I was getting paid $25, sometimes $50. And for at this point in time, 16-year-old kid, that was a lot of money. And it seemed easy to me. It was actually a lot of hard work. It was a lot of carrying of big, heavy equipment. This is the 80s. So, this stuff was big and heavy and bulky. And it was a lot of hard work, but for me it seemed fun, and I was around bands and I was around cool stuff, and I got to go to bars, which of course I wasn't getting to do on my own, and because I was 16, and it was very exciting. So eventually I kind of figured out that a lot of these shows where a lot of these bands were starting out, or they were the new band or the young people, and they weren't really drawing as well and they weren't that big of a deal, I was making a lot more money than they were, because they had to pay someone to show up and run sound. And I was also, at that time, the cheapest guy, because I was the youngest and least experienced. Eventually, I became really good, became more experienced, got to raise my rates, was still making money when a lot of times the band wasn't making money, but I was always guaranteed to make mine. That led to working for bigger bands that were actually doing things for real. That led me to working in a recording studio. That led me into a whole adventure in the music business for a long time, between 1985 and 1998, which is another story for another time. Point being, I always took the opportunity to provide a service for someone, whether it was live sound, recording in the studio, doing tech work on tours. I got picked up on a lot of tours because I could do different things, like from front house through the back of the house. I could be a roadie, or I could be a tech, or I could do setup or tear down, or I could run the whole show. Eventually, I got promoted to really running whole tours because I could do all of the logistics. I knew all the jobs. I could manage the crew. I could do the promotions, etc. So I was running a lot of regional, national, international tours because I could do all of these things at the same time, because I developed skill set and was always looking a way to make myself more valuable and more employable. But I always did this as my own business. It was an entity. I wasn't an employee of someone else. It was my thing, so that I could kind of control the scenario and promote myself. And eventually, when I got out of the music business in 1998, that's how I got into marketing, because that's what I've been doing all along, was marketing and promoting myself and my businesses and the tours I was working on. the business lesson from I started a business at 15 when I got kicked out of my first rock and roll band is simply identify a need someone else has that they are willing and capable of paying for that matches up with a skill set, experience, or talent that you have, and you have a business opportunity. I didn't realize at the time I was creating a business, but that's exactly what I was doing. The second half of that is always be promoting, and not in a selfish used car type of way, and definitely not in a braggart, I'm the best there ever was kind of way, because people just don't like that. But in a always talking about yourself, about your business, about your capabilities, always offering your services to people, always telling people you would love to be in business with them or working with them because you have this business. You want to do this with them because this is what you do for a living. If you have that passion, enthusiasm within inside of you, they're going to see it. It's going to come out. I can't tell you how many times in my entire life people have said, I love working with you, or I decided to hire you because you had a lot of enthusiasm. You really are into this. And if you're not really into this in that way that people can feel it coming out of you, you're probably in the wrong business. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to be a business owner, if you're going to create a startup, you better have passion for it. And it also has to be something that people need and are willing to pay for, or an extreme luxury that they're just still willing to pay for. So if you want to create the next line of Mercedes-Benz or great high-end watches or rock and roll music, make sure it's something that people say, I gotta have that, because that's the difference between something that they want versus something they need. And all of these things combine to give you the best opportunity to create a business that can be profitable. Profitable businesses continue to survive. Non-profitable businesses fail. That's how the world works. So hopefully this little lesson and inspiration on this Saturday morning hustle got you moving today. Good luck starting, running, and managing your business or self-brand. And always be thinking entrepreneurially, even if you're not an entrepreneur.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave a comment, leave a review, share with a friend. I would really appreciate that. Follow and engage on social media, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and this Saturday Morning Hustle Facebook fan page. All the information, all the past episodes, all the Saturday Morning Hustle, Entrepreneur AF, Coffee and Donut swag is at SaturdayMorningHustle.com. See you next week.